there, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm going to talk today about rule learning in terms of scale fingerings, and I will link in the comments below to the previous video I just made that showed how to have the students write the scales out in such a way that reinforces their understanding of the order sharps and flats, the circle of fifths, how to find where the relative minor starts. It's a wonderful tool to work on this rule learning, which is such an important part to our cognition. So anytime we are exposed to new information, we want to compare it to previous experiences. We want to make predictions. We want to seek out patterns, and we also want to build structures so that we take new information and build it onto old. And one of my arguments in my book, Thinking and Playing Music, is that if our brain is going to do these sorts of things, such as looking for patterns, looking for structures, why not do it on purpose? So we try to approach things from our very first experiences in a way that maximizes those kind of just innate habits of our mind. So all of the scales, there are a great number of scale books out there, and my argument is that scales, if they are learned and understood in a proper way, they become the basis of a vocabulary that then helps the students learn pieces in all of these different keys. And we are asking our students to be able to play in 12 major keys and 12 minor keys. It's like being fluent in 24 languages. And this is going to happen much more readily if they're just taught the patterns and the fingering rules separate from notation, separate from a score. So we do want them to be able to write them out eventually. But as I showed in the previous video, we can do that by spelling and building with the two tetrachords so that we play each scale. The left hand plays the lower tetrachord and the right hand plays the upper tetrachord. For the next scale, our left hand goes where our right hand was. We build whole, whole, half. And then we play the next scale. Now our left hand plays the notes our right hand was just on, and then we build whole, whole, half. There's the next scale. And then we go to A, etc. So these are our students' first experiences with playing scales. And it just helps them see that the two tetrachords are intervallically identical and helps them just get kind of thinking in those keys and not having to worry too much about fingering patterns yet. And then when we go to teach the scales themselves, we can teach them with the rule. So again, rule learning is the best kind of learning rather than example learning. So it might take a little bit more time at the beginning of that process, but it's going to be much more secure, much more accessible, much more usable to them later. So the first rule is what I call the C fingering rule, and this is because the scales all use the same fingerings as C major. So this is C, G, D, A, and E major and minor. And all we need to do for these fingerings is figure out where 4 goes. And actually, if you think about a scale is made up of 7 distinct notes. So we need a group of 3 plus a group of 4. So if we figure out where 4 goes, we pretty much have the rest of the scale kind of at our fingertips, pun intended. So if we put our pinkies on do and play in one note, one scale degree, there's where our 4th finger goes. So in the left hand, it goes on re in major. And then if we go to play 2 octaves, it's still on re, re, not re, re, not re, not re, re, not re, re. So when we get to the point where we have to decide if we want to put our 4th finger there or not, all we have to ask ourselves is this the 2nd scale degree? We can do the same thing in the right hand using T. So I often have my students play the right hand going down first. So they have do, T, not T, T, not T. And then they're ready to do it this way. T, not T, start. So C natural minor, C harmonic minor, D natural minor, D harmonic minor. We can do that little pinky to 4 check to figure out where our 4th fingers go. The second fingering rule, and these are actually, I think, the easier fingerings to play, are what I call the fingers together scales. So in these keys, our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers play at the same time, and our 2nd and 3rd fingers play at the same time. And for 3 of those keys in major, those are the scales that use all of the black keys. So B major, D flat major, and F sharp major. F major is kind of the weird outlier. I often teach that one last because it is, I actually think, in many ways the most confusing. But so if we're looking at B major, thumb on the white key, 2 black keys, thumb on the white key, 3 black keys. And they're so fingering friendly, we can actually practice some hands together in these groups. And notice I actually start B major with my thumb, because 4 goes here, and I don't like to practice in inconsistencies. And then even B minor works the same. So this was our fingering group. So B minor works like this. Same thing for F sharp major. Sorry, something just fell. I'm making sure I'm still on here. 3 black keys, 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2 black keys. In things like E flat minor, where this is our basic fingering group. Sorry about that mistake. So that when we go to play harmonic minor, we still have the 2 and 3, what was here is now here. And this is often problematic for people learning the scale because we like to put our thumb after a black key, and we'll talk about this in the thumb rule. So just physically, we want our thumb to be here, but now I'm out of fingers and I end up with my pinky. So I still have to think about that 2-3 group. It still also works in melodic minor. So 3 black keys, 2 black key group. So those fingers together scales are actually the easiest to play. So the first scales I usually teach students are B and D flat, and they learn them by rote. We have keyboard pictures and hand pictures. Actually, this is making me realize I should probably make a video about that as well, so that will come up later. And then the scales that are the most difficult for most learners are B flat, E flat, and A flat major, and F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp minor. So I am going to talk about rule learning for these scales. So when I'm teaching these scales, usually we would write the scale out on the music rack using those letter cards like they are shown in the picture. And then we hold up our left hand and look at our left hand and go, oh, where is my thumb? My thumb is the highest finger on my left hand. So therefore, I want my thumb to play the highest white key before another black so that I can cross from thumb to a black key. So we look at those cards and we go, okay, so we have a B flat as our black key and E flat as our black key. Therefore we want D to be our highest white key, and we just scooch the cards apart a little bit so that we have black on the bottom, white on the top, B flat, C, D, black on the bottom, white on the top, E flat, F, G, A. So that's a 3-finger group and a 4-finger group. 3-finger group, 4-finger group. 4-finger group, 3, 4, 3. Now in our right hand, our thumb is our lowest finger. So now we want our thumb to be on the lowest white key of the group. So we have white on the bottom, black on top, white on the bottom, black on top. Sometimes I use these little chips. This can help students see their stacks. So we stack the scale B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. So there's our B flat major stack. Looks like that. And then we say, okay, we want the white key to be on top. So we have a 3-note group, B flat C D, and a 4-note group, E flat F G A. So that can work either the cards or the chips or both. I find visual aids, things for the students to manipulate, to be very helpful. The beauty of this system is it actually also informs our fingerings for tricky scales like the F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp minor, including melodic. So in this case, I'm actually going to write the scale using my letter cards. So I have the colors are just completely random. So F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, and then the other F sharp. Sorry about the glare there. I can go this way just a little bit. So that's our natural minor scale. I can then use my chips, black key, white key, white key, black key, white key, white key. So now I see if I want black on the bottom, white on top for the left hand, there's my 4-note group. Black on the bottom, white on top, there's my 3-note group. If I change this to harmonic minor, now my E is going to be an E sharp, and that doesn't change my left hand fingering because the E and E sharp, they're both still white keys. But if I go to melodic minor, now I have black, black, white, white, black, black, white. For the left hand, that's going to be the same. But for the right hand, let's go back to natural here for just a second. D, and I've lost my E. D and E, white and white. So for my right hand, let me move the picture here. For the right hand, there we go. Now we want our thumb to be on the lowest white key. So we actually have to change our groups to reflect this. So my F sharp minor fingering actually starts in the middle of my 4-note group. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to start 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's my fingering for F sharp minor. Now as soon as I go to melodic, now I have different black and white keys, so that's still a white. So obviously this group doesn't work anymore. For my right hand, I need a white note to be on the bottom. So now this has to go here on the way up. So this is a 3-note group, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And on the way down, I have to go back to my 3, 2, 1, sorry, that's also in natural. For melodic minor, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3. This is why those are so tricky. So often, I actually shouldn't say often, I always teach natural minor first. The student should be very comfortable with natural minor scales before they are asked to play harmonic or melodic. And this is especially true for F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp minor because of that fingering change when you have to turn around. I also sometimes will write these out on the rack here so that they can play them looking at the cards, and then we stop at the top, move the cards around, talk about what has to happen, and then come back down. Obviously, in the long run, we're not going to want to play it like that. We're going to want continuity. But for the sake of learning these fingering rules, it's really important. And actually, the thumb rule, while it is a little complicated to learn, the thumb rule is the most important fingering rule that we have. We use it when we're practicing arpeggios. We're playing arpeggios and inversions. The thumb is the lowest white key in the right hand, highest white key in the left. Very handy when we're working on fingerings in our passage work. Makes crossing so much easier. I actually think C major is the hardest scale to play because you can actually play it wrong and you won't even notice till you get to the end. You don't bump up against any black keys to go, oh wait, that didn't work. So these actually require much more care. So yes, it takes more time at the beginning, but it helps the student really understand what it is that they're doing and how they worked it out. And then those patterns are going to be that much more accessible and usable to them when they encounter these passages in their music. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you again soon.